Okay, so I wanted to do a video on this. I noticed Chrissy really changes how she speaks about people and how she places people into a category of either, light, brown, or dark. The reason they do this is strategic. And it's important to pay attention to when they do this because how can it really be real? How can colorism really be real if you keep playing magical chairs when it comes to who's light, who's brown, and who's dark? You'll say the same color is light, medium, or dark depending on what narrative you're trying to build, you know. So I just wanted to show it here with her two videos. And also I wanted to address something else, but I'll get to that at the end.
And Tyler Perry pulled him aside and was like, hey, compose yourself. They're going to do whatever it takes to get that bag and keep the bag and keep their position. But I do think if black men were so concerned about how they look in front of white people, how do y'all think it looks for you to repeatedly make black women the butt of your jokes in front of the whole world? And even though Jada leans towards the mixed race aesthetic, she's not considered desirable like one right now because she doesn't have the hair. The kind that she would have right now if it wasn't for the alopecia, and the kind that most black men prefer. Women's beauty in general is their social currency, and included in that is their hair. And I'm not saying it's right, but that is the way it is. And when you add being a black woman to that, or a woman who is not white, but especially a black woman, you're vulnerable to more attack than any group of women. And we know it's even worse for women who are much darker than Jada. But she's somewhat getting the unambiguous black woman treatment in this regard. One, because again, she doesn't have the hair that most black men like anymore. And also because black men don't like her due to her entanglement with August Alsina.
So I wanted to also address how she is saying that black women deal with it harder when they're darker skinned. Yet Lupita was sitting right behind her, completely bald headed. So nobody talked about her, but they talked about the woman who you are claiming is light skinned, who, as I'm showing and I'm gonna show, you don't even call light skinned all the time. So let's continue.
Because they feel that she's embarrassing Will. But it's typically unambiguous, dark-skinned black women with type 4 hair who deal with the hair scrutiny that Jada is experiencing, as well as the hair loss due to wearing hair weave and trying to adhere to European beauty standards, thus ruining our hair. We are used to that kind of treatment, which is why so many of us are identifying with Jada and defending her right now. We are used to black people, and especially black men, making fun of our hair, our skin, and other physical features. And it's not just everyday black men, it's celebrity black men. It's not just one or two comedians that do this like it is in other communities. Black male comedians are known for mocking black women, and now they're doing it at the Oscars. And Chris Rock and black men in general are fixated on black women's hair, which is odd. It's very effeminate for men who claim to be so masculine. And as we all know, Chris Rock, he did a documentary about black women's hair. It was called Good Hair. And he said it was because his own daughter was ashamed of her hair texture. But now here he is carelessly joking about Jada being bald. That could easily be his daughter. And
that's what's so sick and weird. Why do you automatically think that 4C hair is bald? Like it's bald headed. He said his daughter was ashamed of her hair texture, which means she had hair on her head. This negative thinking of black features is the epitome of why her channel even exists, because you make such crazy assumptions about black features, like being bald. Oh, she has 4C hair. Oh, that could be your daughter. It could be his daughter because she has 4C hair texture. You see how you can easily see how she shames people with black features without even trying to do it. It's just like a second nature to her, or maybe it's a first nature to her. I don't know.
Cognitive dissonance is something you see very often with dark-skinned black male comedians especially. And even in the Good Hair documentary, Chris was making tasteless jokes about black women and our hair. In my opinion, he was. It was the actual black women he had featured on the show who had the most thoughtful things to say, not him. So looking back at that and taking into consideration what he just did at the Oscars, it gives the impression that he really wasn't taking our hair plight seriously, and he did that documentary to pander and to make money. And it worked because during the time, black women ate it up. We carried that documentary like we literally do almost everything that black men make. And I'm just glad that we're finally waking up to the black male pandering. Now I just wish that black women would stop
I didn't see that as pandering, really, honestly. I mean, addressing a problem in the community as far as, wearing fake hair all the time or things of that nature, if it's bad for the health of your hair, I mean, well, why are you doing it? To me, I just think, you probably shouldn't do things that are bad for your hair, your natural hair, But I don't really understand why would weaves cause problems to your hair, like to your hair health. But anyway, going on.
Out black manhood awards for black men doing the bare minimum like we're doing with Will Smith. I think it's great that a black man defended his wife against someone attacking her hair when she's suffering from a medical condition that made her hair fall out. But I also just see this as a black man defending his preference, who is his wife. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He does not deserve an award for this. And I just don't want dark-skinned black women, especially, to get caught up on this thinking that this trickles down to them and this is representative of black men protecting the honor of all black women. And yes, I am speaking on this from a colorism angle because nobody else is going to do it, but it needs to be said. I am just not sold on this situation setting a precedent for black men to defend dark-skinned black women when we are mocked for our hair and our skin tone. Will Smith was protecting his individual wife, as he should. This does not count as a win for dark-skinned women, in my opinion. And I know that's the unpopular opinion, but somebody has to say it because Jada is another light-skinned woman that black women like to live vicariously through way too much for my liking. And I do feel that y'all need to be reminded that the trickle-down effect does not work in these situations. Jada having alopecia and going bald because of it, that doesn't suddenly make her a representation of the typical unambiguous black woman. Now, with that being said, as a woman, I do empathize with Jada. I empathize with her battle with alopecia, especially with the way black women are constantly mocked about our hair. I think it's great what Will did to protect his wife, but I don't think it's going to invoke some collective change among black men where they suddenly feel like they have to protect black women who are getting made fun of for their hair and their skin. And we could tell by the way black men are responding to this online. And I don't mean to be a dream killer or a Debbie Downer, but that is just the reality. That is the way I see it. I know black women believe in the trickle-down effect, and you think Jada is your representation, but she's really not. And obviously her being a preference doesn't protect her from being attacked, as we saw with this situation. And I do believe that if she were white, this would not have happened, but she's still not you, and this isn't the same as black men defending your honor. And this certainly isn't a reflection of the collective of black men. So I know some of y'all are triggered, but you just gonna have to stay mad about it. I'm done here. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Help kiosks are simply the easiest way to buy and sell cryptocurrency. The largest and most trusted Bitcoin ATM.
But the problem I'm finding with this is this. I don't get why she acts like, okay, she called Jada Pinkett Smith a preference, light-skinned, and not black women's image. But over here, she goes on to say someone exactly her color, if not lighter. I think actually Halle is actually lighter than Jada, is actually a brown-skinned woman, a light brown-skinned woman, and somehow, then light-skinned privilege or whatever doesn't apply to her. So it's like, how are you going about contradicting yourself like this? Let me play it.
It's just not a thing. No, sweetie. Just because we have racist white people that are mad about backlash that Holly is receiving, this shows that light-skinned privilege is not a thing. No, sweetie, just because we have racist white people that are mad about Holly playing Ariel, it doesn't cancel out light-skinned privilege. Sorry. In fact, if you want me to get real petty about it, Holly is what I like to call safe brown. Her being what we like to call here of a light brown skin complexion, I don't see them casting.
So that's what I'm basically saying here. It's that she specifically is saying that Jada is light skinned for her narrative. Is it a real narrative, though? Is it even a real narrative to Chrissy? No, it can't be, because in the next clip I showed, she specifically calls someone lighter than her a safe brown, a light brown. See, they play magical chairs, musical chairs on this whole colorism issue, where they will often do this, and you can see it very deeply with the brown-skinned category. They will use brown-skinned people to prove colorism exists, and then other times they will use it to prove it exists. They will use it in different ways. So sometimes they will say that it's because of the fact that they're not light-skinned, and then other times they'll say for the same type of skin tone that it's because they're light-skinned. How can it be both things at the same time for the same color? That's how you know it's bullshit. And that's why, for me, because I'm a similar complexion to these women, that's why I know it's bullshit. Because it's like you said in one breath, they're the preference, they're light skinned, they're not your image. This doesn't trickle down to, dark-skinned black women. But at the same time, you're going to say when it benefits you, oh, there's backlash because there's a brown-skinned black woman. Oh, yeah, she's brown-skinned. She's safe brown. That's why that's happening. She doesn't have light-skin privilege. That's what I don't like about these type of platforms. It's because, to me, it's like, it's obvious you're lying. It's obvious that you are lying. And you are just making up stuff because you don't even believe it yourself. Because you can see with your eyes that you are calling the same color light-skinned or brown-skinned. Oops, sorry. So, to me, it's just like, I don't get why people basically, come up with these ideas of having these narratives when people can see their past videos and see how they switch it up depending on what narrative they're going to speak on. I wanted to also bring about the whole idea where she's trying to say dark-skinned black women have it harder. That's truly not the case. And I wanted to bring in People Divest's commentary on this one, because she really hit it out of the park with this one.
Let the little boy play that role is telling you that Chris Rock is jealous of peanut butter people. Chris Rock, in his mind, wishes he was Will Smith's color. You see, when Chris Rock looks at Will Smith, okay, and Will Smith is around the same color, him and Jada Pinkett and myself, we're in a peanut butter club, okay, Chris Rock took a shot at making fun of people that are lighter than him because he hates lighter people. He's jealous of us, okay? A lot of this shit has to do with reverse colorism. Now, if that was Lupita Nyong'o and you seen her chocolate colored ass sitting up in the audience acting all shocked, when deep down inside you know her black ass was happy that Will Smith smacked the shit out that black ass nigga. Now, if that had been Lupita Nyong'o, Chris Rock would not have done that. You see, I'm starting to notice something. Chocolate people are on code. I'll wait. Chocolate people are on code. Shout out to Gemini Queen in the chat. Okay, now we are talking about, you said, Crystal, how you gonna take something that happened at the Oscars and make it into colorism? Oh, baby, I have lived this my whole life. I have had these black ass niggas, I said what the fuck I said, take a shot at me and make fun of something like my weight, or maybe my hair texture, or maybe my nose, or something like that. You know, shot at me because they are miserable, because they are chocolate. Now, all of this chocolate shit that they talking lately, okay, I'll give you your props. You're chocolate, you're proud. I'm happy for you. But let's not act like this does not have to do with colorism. Let's not act like that little boy who plays everybody.
So that's what I mean. And people are basically saying like that light-skinned people and brown-skinned people have it easier when it comes to features and things of that nature. Like, oh, it's going to be so much harder. No. That's not true. It's not true that dark-skinned people have it worse. Just like she pointed out, if that was Lupita, that wouldn't happen. He wouldn't say that about Lupita. Because he basically is on code with dark-skinned women and dark-skinned people as a whole. Dark-skinned people are on code with each other. There are plenty of black people who are dark-skinned who have broad noses, full lips, hair that is 4C, or hair that they don't have hair for that matter, and they don't get clowned for it like that. They don't get attacked as much. Honestly, the reason why they don't get attacked as much is because of two things. Because one, dark-skinned black people are protected, and secondarily, because dark-skinned black people act like it's expected features. So if it's expected, then it is accepted to some extent. They accept that black women who are dark-skinned have 4C hair, have broad noses, have full lips, have high cheekbones, They expect them to have ethnic features. The thing is, with brown-skinned women and light-skinned women, we're not expected to be black, basically. What they really expect us to be is to be someone who is mildly black. So when we have strong black features, we are looked upon like we shouldn't have those features. And then we are clowned for it even more because it's out of the norm to them. And on top of it, we aren't supposed to really be true black people, basically, in their perspective. This is why they constantly associate light skin with supposed good hair, meaning soft hair, basically. It's what they mean. It's straighter hair, basically. And it's like, why they associate these type of things to go together, and how Chrissy was basically trying to associate being bald with being dark-skinned, or being bald with having, 4C hair, which it had nothing to do with it, by the way. I mean, people with 4C hair grow long, thick, big, beautiful hair. That's why I find it so weird. They always have such a negative view on black features, But that negative view is associated with dark skin, and they kind of put it together as if it's acceptable and it's okay. But if you are a lighter skinned person and you're black, and you're visibly black, you get attacked even more because you aren't even allowed to be a black person. So that's all I have to say on that. I think on top of all of that, on her point of trying to say they're not your image, and then in the next breath saying they don't have light-skinned privilege. And then in the next breath saying, they're the preference, and then in the next breath saying they're sick brown, tells you that they don't even believe the shit they're talking about. Because you can't keep a straight comment or a belief or statement about people of the same complexion. You can't even keep a straight opinion on it. You just keep changing over and over and over again because you just say whatever fits your narrative of colorism to basically add to the idea that colorism exists when it doesn't. You know, that's how they prove colorism exists, by basically changing the aspect of what someone's complexion is over and over and over again, so then they can fit their narrative. And you'll see this with the dark skin and brown skinned situation often too, where people will sometimes say they're brown skinned to fit a narrative. Then the next narrative about the same complexion is dark skinned. They do this over and over again. And that's what I was saying about accuracy in my last video. With colorism, there is no accuracy. And you can see that there's no accuracy because these people constantly say different things about the same phenotype, about the same complexion. So, to me, it's just like, it really does shed a light on how it's not really true, you know, that colorism exists. It's not really true that dark-skinned black people would have it worse, obviously, when they're on code with each other and they don't mess with each other for having black features as much as they will for someone who is light-skinned or brown-skinned. So it basically gets rid of their whole argument altogether. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe and comment down below on what you think. Thanks, bye.